With lesson firmly learned to angle the armor at the enemy, I play an opponent that maybe has armor? Kinda? Somewhere? Maybe? Same company, different matchup. I'm really enjoying the list. It works out well for me. I really love its durability. And I think there's some other team that I might have forgot to deploy in the last game. We're playing a little differently this time. We're a little thinner across the line against my opponent's U.S. Tank Destroyer Company, a guy that goes by the name of Joe, real friendly dude. And we're going to try to hole him up over here on the left side of the board as much as we can to, just slow him down. It's at this point that I realize that the 81mm mortar against an open top vehicle or a low armor vehicle is actually not that bad. In a pinch, it's okay. So I kind of plop them out there in a kind of really, really lousy anti-tank gun. Well, on the other end of the board, the southern end of the board, you can see the Panthers and the 15cm artillery. That is just going to make a mess of anything that decides to come over there. It's actually kind of a rules digression here. I thought that was bocage, enough to protect those tanks, but I guess it kind of looks kind of silly. We ended up treating them as hedges, and that ended up being a point of contention at one point. I digress. Always discuss with your opponent what the terrain actually is. So you can see here, I've actually deployed a lot of my infantry in such a way that I'm trying to avoid getting shot. I really don't care to, be shot or have cover, just so long as I'm not getting shot at. He starts off his gun carriages facing off against those tanks while he moves the tank destroyer security sections on the other side. He's going to try to take on the infantry with those guys. Which is a beautiful army, by the way. The lighting at Bane of War actually proved to be quite a trouble trying to take any of these shots. Did I mention that his tank destroyer company is quick? On the first turn he wrecked nearly everything. I've never fought against the Tank Destroyer Company. It just kind of came as a surprise that he started off on one side of the board and then he wasn't. He just moved everything over into the villages over here to try to engage the infantry. First turn, he does get air, and like I mentioned before, look at those 3 airplanes, and he tries to zone them in on my reluctant trained Panthers. Well, that could be disastrous. His security company moves around, and they've got a lot of machine gun dice to throw at that infantry. He's going to try to wear them out at a range that I can't quite engage him at. But again, like I said before, hey, open top vehicles, mortars firing direct. This isn't going to be quite so bad. Or so I think. In practice, not so much. His plane does try to get in, but as I remember correctly, it doesn't actually do that much damage. It's quite a whiff. He could have gotten a lot more. He could have wiped out everything because everything was under the template. But he only destroyed 1 tank. And I was so grateful for that. He was visibly very miffed. First turn, I do get my deployment. And the Panzer III training tanks start rolling on. And they're going to try to engage the gun motor carriages by themselves. But as the 15cm artillery hasn't decided to go reluctant on me yet, they're going to fire on the gun carriages themselves. They managed to kill 3 of them in the first barrage. Oh, that's great. That's just awesome. I love it when a plan comes together, right? Infantry continue to hunker down and test my theory that the 81mm mortar is okay at taking on jeeps and top armor 0 vehicles. And in practice, it's really not working out. I think I bail one of them, and then he immediately gets right back in. His CIC, the Jeep, right behind that building is motivating them, keeping them on point. On the other side of the board, I begin hustling the tanks back towards the objective that I need to hold on to. As his gun motor carriages those little light tanks are kind of dissolving, I decide, I really don't need to have anything over there. And it's always kind of a secondary consideration that I need to move my infantry back over there. I get air support to go ahead and take care of them because he decided to pull them off because there's only 2 of them. He's on the point. He's about to break. But nonetheless, I just, let him be a nuisance over there. I leave a few infantry stands over there. All the tanks are running back to the objective because he's going to get, reserves over there on that objective any minute. So we're going to make sure that they're going to be nasty. He's got like some sort of combat engineer company with an attached tank that I have to look forward to, as well as some Easy 8s that are going to be showing up. And certainly the infantry on the other side of the board, they're not having any kind of problem. But somewhere between being fearless and gone to ground, it's a stalemate. Nothing's going on here. Which is surprising, because the mortars are not gone to ground, and they're shelling the mess out of them, but they somehow haven't died. He continues moving the gun carriages forward. He's going to try to engage the infantry that I decide to undig and move, and it ends up not being very successful for him, and it draws them out something serious, because now the Panzer IIIs are just right around this hill, and they're going to come back and whack them for the opportunity. Nothing like a live fire exercise to teach the students, eh? And they do. They absolutely light every last one of them up, giving me a point. Hoorah! At least we're making them pay for it, right? This guy Joe, he's a real friendly dude, but I got the impression that this match was pretty rough for him, especially when you see where he finished in this tourney. So now he's in a really rough position. He's got no initiative on the northern side of the board. The southern side of the board with his tank destroyer companies are just stuck. There's so much infantry to try to dig through that he has no hope of actually moving forward. But he does get his reserves, and the tanks decide to move in, take a defilade position over on the hill, try to take on the Panthers in any way they can. The engineering company also swings up into the woods contesting the objective. All he's got to do is light up 2 tanks, and the Panthers are in a very prime position to do so. I was much more concerned about shooting at the tank destroyer company that might appear out of nowhere instead of thinking about where his reserves are going to come on. And that was a huge gaffe on my part. I should have thought about that. So now things are handled on a knife edge at this point. I could lose those Panthers, and then he'd contest the objective. And then I'm left with just the infantry, challenging them over the open ground. There's just no way I'm going to be able to take care of that. So he takes a lot of shots. He's needing like 5s, I think, to hit. And he so successfully hits 4 times. I put 2 dice on either one. Guess what? Saves them all! Every round bounces on the Panthers. Oh, I mean, if I was him, I'd be salty as hell. So, I mean, he's also pummeling the other side of the infantry with everything he's got. And I think he pulls up 1 mortar. It's just not a very effective turn for him. So I'm left with a decision that kind of haunted me, and it still haunted me now. Do I keep the Panthers still and shoot at full rate of fire at the tanks, or do I angle the armor? Because it's greater than 180 degrees. They're going to have to turn. What's the choice here? I'm going to be hitting them on 3s because they're just trained? I mean, it's such a tough call. So I go ahead and I go for blood, guts, and glory, and I decide, okay, well, I don't have to angle the armor for 2 turns if they're all dead, and I light them up, killing 3, bailing another, and the whole platoon turns around and runs away. I got real lucky there. There wasn't going to be 2 turns of side armor saves, that's for darn certain. At this point, with the mortal coil firmly enwrapped around some of the mortar teams, I decided it's not really worth mortaring anymore. But then I decided, nah, it totally is. And I pick some of the Jeeps as my target. And I do believe I kill one of them. But that'll be the last turn for that. No more shenanigans. We're just going to hunker down and wait for the worst. Infantry try to dig in on the objective, but I don't know what I was thinking. They should have kept moving towards the infantry platoon, the American infantry platoon that's taking the objective. But I digress. Seeing that I learned my lesson and decided to go to ground, he decides to go ahead and up his ante as well, moving the tank destroyer company forward to try to get closer and shoot me, I guess. While on the other side of the board, he just kind of buckles down for the inevitable changing of targets for the Panthers and fits together an idea. I mean, all I have to worry about is a bunch of bazookas, right? Right? He manages to get one of the lucky shots off, kills one of the Panthers! And then he bails the other one, and I decide to go ahead and put the bailed on the one closest to the infantry platoon because, hey, I want to send him over there to attack, right? Well, that was really dumb because then he assaults with the bazooka team and kills the bailed tank. Now I have no Panthers. So now they have the objective completely under their control, and I have to do something about it. So I send the Panzer IIIs up there in a fit of anger. Surprisingly, they don't get pushed off the assault just through return fire. They manage to assault, swing, kill a couple dudes, and push them completely off the objective. Hoorah, go students! The infantry are also moving up there to try to do something about it. Again, I should have been moving them over there sooner. I don't know why I stopped to dig in. I mean, I had that objective firmly under control, and in the situation that that objective would be a problem, the game would have been over anyway. So the infantry company is hanging on by a thread. They are about to get completely pushed off by the students and a couple infantry platoons, well, the infantry platoon right behind them. And even though everything is looking great, well, you've seen my videos before, right? So the tank destroyers suddenly appearing out of nowhere, plastering the infantry on the other side, now threatening the objective that I just told you was otherwise completely fine. Well, that's just awesome. The clock is ticking. I still have a whole turn to take care of this problem before it is a real issue. A real issue. I mean, they're scary fast. Once there was a hole, they just started tearing ass all the way up towards that objective. And once they could draw line of sight, they destroyed the Panzer IIIs. And now there's just a bunch of infantry standing out there in the open. Well, that's just great. And around that point in time, the game was called. There's no way I was going to do anything. I was just kind of playing for points or just wasting his time. It was already a 4-3 at this point. So my buddy Joe here went on with 5 points, I think, because of the Beta War scoring system. And he would ultimately be the best allied player in the tournament, I think, if memory serves. And he was in the top 5. He was really close. And if I didn't give him such a headache here, I'm pretty sure he would have been closer. But I digress. I enjoyed playing the game against him. This has been an Ouchies Batrep, and thanks for watching. This one I have trouble thinking about what I would do differently, aside from moving the bailed tank or staying just a little bit further away from the infantry. I think everything went about as well as I could expect. It's not like there was a team or two that I had that could have fundamentally altered his entire security section or how anything was going down. No, I'm not forgetting anything.